Hi, I'm Rob Froney, and welcome to this video to show you how to start Kicad in Ubuntu and a little bit about the Kicad project manager. So you go up here to the start icon in Ubuntu, click on that, and you type in Kicad or the first few letters. This is the project manager for Kicad, so click there. And once you get in here, this is the project manager. If you put your mouse up here, you will see some menus. There's a lot of redundancy between these menus and the toolbar. You can see new here, open project, open reset, import project. You can import a project from an Eagle design and CAD program. You can archive the project, unarchive the project, or quit the tool there with the close. I'll use the toolbar here. If you just hover over it, it will show you what each tool means. So you can kind of do that, and see what you get. This is for unarchiving a project, archiving it, opening an existing project, create a new project from template. We'll just create a new project here. So when I create a project, this time I'm going to put it in my downloads directory. That's where I put my temporary stuff. And what you want to do is you want to create a folder first of all for your project, because if you just put it in your home directory, there will be probably several projects and they'll get all mixed up, and that's probably not good. So this is just a demo project, so I'm going to call it demo project. And I usually put an underscore instead of space in here, but you probably get by with either. And so we're going to create this this folder here. Oops, I got to put demo project here too, because I want to call the project folder demo project. Okay, and then I'm going to save the project file, demo project project file in there. When you do that, you end up with two new blank files. Here, one is the schematic of the project, and the other is the PCB, the printed circuit board for the project. You also notice over here that there are these are tools that you can use in Kicad. This is the schematic layout editor. It's called EE Schema. This is the symbol library editor, which allows you to edit different parts, add parts that you can put in your schematic. This is PCB New. It's the PCB layout tool. This is the footprint library editor, and it allows you to make different footprints for the pieces that will enable you to make your PCB. Each part has a footprint. That's where you solder the part down to little pads. This thing is a Gerber viewer. Gerber files are files that the PCB New creates, and you send them off to a printed circuit board manufacturer, and it uses them to create the actual printed circuit board. This tool right here with the A on it is for importing bitmaps. You can make little logos to put on the silkscreen part of your printed circuit board that identify it and make it uniquely yours. This is a calculator tool. We'll look at that just briefly. And this last tool, it's a worksheet layout editor. It allows you to edit the way the schematic worksheet looks. The little box down here in the lower right hand corner that has the project name and the author and all those kind of things. You can customize that to your delight with that tool. So let's look at the calculator tool. The calculator tool is useful for designers. There are also similar kind of tools online you can use with your web browser, but this is handy, so I'll just show it to you so you see what's here. Here's the calculator tool. We'll look at the first tab here. This allows you to calculate how to make voltage regulators. A voltage regulator is something that takes a higher voltage usually and puts out a lower voltage. These are linear regulators right here. And I don't know how useful that tool is, but it's kind of a little design synthesis tool. This tool is quite useful. It tells you how wide to make the track, the traces, and you can put in how many degrees you want you'll allow the temperature to rise, and what the resistivity of your copper trace is, or whatever kind of trace you've got, and what your current is there, and it'll tell you how wide to make the trace. This electrical spacing tool is really handy. If you have 1500 volts or something, you better make your your spacing larger than if you only have 15 volts. So that's important. And then your transmission line calculator. This allows you to make transmission lines on your board. This microstrip line is probably the most common kind of transmission line on a board, but there's other kinds like coplanar waveguide, and there's coplanar waveguide with ground, which is also quite useful, maybe even as useful as this. In fact, maybe might be more realistic, because usually when I make a waveguide, I try to make it coplanar with ground. Usually your height on most boards is 1.6 millimeters, and so then if you like synthesize this, you'll notice that a trace width of about 1 millimeter is pretty good. The spacing S of 0.2 millimeters, and the length there isn't going to make any difference. So anyway, that's a useful kind of a thing. They also have other kinds of things like strip line buried inside, a twisted pair, and coupled microstrip line, and coaxial line, and rectangular waveguide, and other things that might be useful in some cases. RF attenuators are kind of like they're a device to turn the voltage down, but it preserves the Thevenin impedance. So when you look into the thing, if you were driving this with a specific Thevenin source, you can make it so it turns down the voltage, but the source resistance, from the load's perspective, still looks like that same Thevenin resistance. And from the source's side, the load also looks like the same Thevenin resistance. So that's sometimes handy, especially in higher frequency things where you're dealing with RF. Color code is basically for different kinds of resistors. You can tell what color it is. Like a 220 ohm resistor is it's 2 to 1. So red, brown is the thing, and then they also have the multiplier here and the tolerance and various different things. So you can decipher your resistors that way. And then there's the thing on board classes here. So that's the calculator, and let's look at the first thing you'll do is you'll actually edit your schematic, and I'll show you how to open this up. You just double click on that, and here's your schematic file. And I'm going to make a new video that will basically start telling you how to use this EE schema tool. So I hope you've enjoyed this short little introduction into the Kicad Project Manager.